I've got my peeper on you. You better watch it. No. What is coolin'? What's going on? We have another prospect breakdown today. Right guard, Kade Pieper from Iowa, number 58. I think they could have 4 offensive linemen possibly drafted this year. It's going to depend. I think Pieper's the one guy where he is a redshirt sophomore. Maybe he doesn't come out. This dude, though, to me, from a draft perspective, is probably the most high recruit or high prospect that could go in the draft, just because like the athleticism's there. I think he's got the tools. He's got some power profile behind him, despite he punches way above his weight class. And if you're looking for a wide zone blocking guy, this is a dude to watch out for. You Shanahan offenses, yeah, this guy's no joke. Let's get into the film here. And man, first and foremost, start off, I watched every single game too this season from Iowa. It's an interesting film study with this team in general. Mark Lewinsky, the quarterback, transferred in here, and he's got some legs, I'll say that. But the offense line does a really good job, as I mentioned earlier, like Bo Stevens, Logan Jones, Giddings Dunker. Dunker, I think, more of a interesting player, kind of like a Ben Cleveland. I don't know, very much a lumberjacker build. I think when you look at this offensive line, though, Pieper really sticks out to me, and his ability as a run blocker and as a overall like to reach block, stuff like that is really high level stuff that he can do because he's got a really good first step. Now, let's go into pass pro here, talk about some of this because I think he's actually a good technician in pass pro. His hand technique is already pretty dang good. Now, strike timing can continue to get a little bit better. There are some whiffs he'll have, or maybe he'll duck his hands too low. We'll mention some of those things. When it comes to run blocking at the second level, he has a little Cole Strange to him out of Chattanooga where he'll get a little ahead of himself. He'll get to the second level. I'd like to see him finish this a little bit better versus a linebacker. Gets over his feet there too a little bit. And that's a little bit of redirecting ability that he can work on. And here's a bit of a stunt miss. Or not a stunt miss, but a blitz pickup that I thought he could have done. I didn't think he knows he has the running back there, but still I thought he could have maybe helped out a little bit with that. But he gets a little eager at the second level. And he'll just kind of whiff on some blocks or just overrun blocks at the second level. So that's what I want to see him improve when it comes to the second level. Here's some more pass pro stuff. Look at the hand technique here. Great. I mean, that is excellent. Nice wide base that he's maintaining. Perfect one-to-one relationship, hat on hat. That's exactly what you want to see. Here he is again. Now, it gets a little over his toes, but he at least moves back the feet, has his anchor set, does a good job while this defender's reaching up to really lower himself down with his leverage. Feet stop. This is one thing he needs to work on in pass pro, is at times he'll contort his body rather than move his feet. You need to shuffle here better. See what I'm doing? See what he's doing? He's trying to push him and work maybe with his center because he sees a stunt, so he's figuring that. But still, you got to maybe work in a little bit better with your feet because now he's lost. He's crossed, and he's been beat. We're going to see another rep of that here with a little spin move. Keep your feet moving. You got to keep those feet moving. And yeah. You can't just try to slide your arms. You're going to lose these reps. And he ends up on the ground there. So that's part of the balance as well. Pass pro and good solid job here refitting the hands. Even though this guy, number 90 from Rutgers, has the length advantage, he does a good job refitting his hands, fitting them inside, wins that rep. Rutgers, once again, refitting and just doing a good job. Nothing too crazy there, but solid. Even though he doesn't necessarily have inside leverage, it is a decent job. Good little pull there. I just think in the second level, he's got to get a little bit better under more control. That's the big thing when it comes to these second level blocks. Does a good job walling off defenders, though. In terms of his run feel, he's excellent at that. Here's a blitz pickup. Is he the most powerful guy? No. And this is where I talk about ducking your hands a little bit. You got to be a little quicker sometimes from this. Look at this. Why are your hands low? Your hands are way too low. You're exposing your chest. You don't want to do this motion, right? You shouldn't be going like this. You should be popping, especially on this sort of thing. You're bigger than this guy, and he's just allowing this linebacker to come right into his chest and push him back into the pocket. He does that a couple too often. Good solid blitz or stunt pickup there. Nothing too crazy. Gets tripped there. Loses balance. Good little pull. Getting good a lane there. Working with Logan Jones. Second level block. Misses there. Another whiff. Little move action here. Gets tripped. It's a holding too. He gets called on this one. This is the one holding call that I did see. But there's another one we're going to see in this Wisconsin game in a little bit that I thought actually should have been more of a holding than that one. Good hand technique on that last rep. Here's another solid technique. Gets that left hand inside. And just the leverage battle, he does a really good job to just stand this guy up. Yeah, he's trying to reach up, but he just does a good job to stand him up even more. One-on-one, working back on a screen, getting to the second level. This time, connects. A lot more patient there, so hopefully we can see more of that. Here's another one of those where mistimes his punch a bit. And this happens. He's a young player. I can, this happens. But I'd like to see him, look at his feet. You can see he is skinny right here. You need to move. You need to have your foot more in a wider position. So that way, if they do cross you, you're more prepared. He shouldn't be more like this. He should be more like this, more inward with that right foot. Because if this happens, like it's going to happen. You're going to get twitchier guys in the NFL are going to cross you over. So it is a bit of a concern with that. And then you combine that, maybe he isn't the most powerful guy. So those are big things I want to see him work on. But as a run blocker, he definitely has some nastiness with his angles. Great job feeling the running back behind him. Such an underrated block right here. This is high-level stuff right here, in my opinion. Contorts him the other way right here. Moves his body because he feels the running back behind him. Opens that lane there for Moulton. Great block. I can't stress that enough. Another solid wall block off there, too. So some of that stuff is really, really good. Does a good job here to handle power. Exactly what you need to do. Reworks his leverage right here. Takes the heat. Maybe not the perfect placement right away, but gets those hands right there to the inside. Gets the base down with the legs. Yeah, that's textbook right there for handling some power on DTs. Now, once again, this is where gets the hands too low. Get him a little wide in this occasion. Nothing crazy, but he's just not ready to take this power and gets beat to the inside too there on a speed rush from a blitz. Here's the one I want to finish this off. He should have got called for this. Moulton ends up scoring on this, but his what was it? His left hand, yeah, that's too wide. So in recap here, Kade Pieper from Iowa, 6'4", 290 pounds. He's very undersized. You definitely can tell he needs to put on some more muscle mass. His anchor strength is not phenomenal, but he does have strong hands. That's one thing I will say. Like, he's got good strength in his hands, and he can contort and move guys. Like, that's the big thing that I see. While I'm not super concerned about maybe it's like he'll put on 10 pounds in the NFL, he'll get stronger. Those are all things he can do. Is he a day one starter in the NFL? No, that's why I put him as a third, fourth round grade. I see the upside with this guy and what he could be in like a year or two in the NFL. Fantastic. Now, if he wants to come back to college, which would make a lot of sense, and this might be a little bit earlier where it should be for the video perspective. Maybe I should be considering this more next year, but I really do like this guy, and I think he really fits in a lot of what you're looking for in the modern NFL. If you're looking for that wide zone system, really makes a lot, even though a lot more teams are going towards gap power. If you're looking for that run blocker that can get out on the move and has the athleticism, Pieper is definitely your guy to watch out for. His leverage is great. His technique already as a young guy is very impressive in pass pro. And that makes up for some of the lack of power that he has, is that he's very, very good with his hand technique. And you see high-end flashes of him refitting his hands, using, maybe some independent hands a little bit more could benefit him, but he does use independent hands still at times. His timing is pretty decent. You see some reps where he'll change up his sets too really well. Like sometimes he'll get aggressive or sometimes he'll be a little more patient. So some of those things are really impressive with him. That timing isn't always perfect, as I mentioned before. Like he'll lower his hands, and that goes into a bit of more of your overall timing ability and your technique as well. So that's why his technique wasn't a perfect A or anything like that, because there were reps that he lowered his hands a little bit, and that's something that is more in the hand technique category. Overall, though, I was super impressed with his hands and his ability to anchor with his leverage. Use his leverage and his hand technique to be able to amount for some of that lack of strength that he has, and he still needs to definitely work on that, because at the NFL, that will be something that is more exposed versus longer, quicker, twitchier guys, especially. And that's why I'm actually a little more concerned with his footwork than his anchor at the moment. That is something I really want to see him get a little bit more consistent on, is his overall footwork in pass protection. His slide technique needs to get a little bit better. I don't know if it's lack of lateral agility, because even in the run blocking game at the second level, we saw him whiff on a lot of blocks, or just he overruns a lot of blocks. Maybe that's a bit of coaching too, that they teach him to overrun a little bit and then come back to it, because that's what it seemed like he wanted to do. So I do want to state that. It seems like that was what he kind of wanted to do. However, for me, I would like to see him be a little more patient. Maybe there's just a lack of little bit of lateral agility there with some of that twitchiness and stuff. And that goes into the mirroring ability too. When you saw him trying to kind of contort his body, need to see more, staying straight up there. Run blocking wise, though, he's not going to drive you, right? He's not your one-on-one drive block machine. Don't expect him to be as good as like a Caden Proctor or a Vega Ione type of player, right? I'm trying to think of more of a guard at this point in this draft class. So there's that. But I think his torque is good with his hands. Like you see him twist with his arms. I think sustainability could be a little bit better in the run blocking game, especially at the second level. Reach blocking is very good, though. He definitely has the reach blocking ability. Second level blocks, it just comes down to, once again, it's kind of being more under control. Punishing ability, I'm fine with. I think he definitely has that mentality you look for. Balance just needs to be a little better, too. He sometimes does end up on the ground. Athleticism wise, I did count in for some of that lack of agility and stuff like that, quickness. But his second level speed and his first step quickness are very, very good. So that I have no issues with at all with Kade Pieper. So let me know what you think on him. I definitely like him, and he's somebody to watch out for immensely if he does come out in this draft class. He would be an underclassman, so it's just very early whether or not he comes out or not. He could come back to college next season and possibly be an early second round pick or even a first round pick with a really good season if he gets stronger and improves his anchor skills and improves the footwork a little bit. I really do think he has the potential to be a back into the first round type of guy. Right now, though, within another year, I would definitely be projecting him in the second round. And you're going to see me in mock drafts probably put him in the second round because of some of these teams that are going to run some wide zone stuff like that. Like Pieper's your guy. He definitely is. He's might be the top wide zone blocker in this draft class. So that's going to do it. Kade Pieper. Let me know who you got your peepers on for this draft class. And I hope you guys have a really good day. Let's go.